It feels like, we're constantly hearing about the next big thing in AI, but what if this year, 2025,
Mhm.
what if it's not just another step? Could it be a genuine turning point? We've been digging into some really fascinating analysis that suggests exactly that, a real shift.
Absolutely. Yeah, the insights we've looked at, mainly from Jay Poole, the futurist, and also 7AI from houseof7.org,
Mm.
they paint a pretty compelling picture. They're arguing it's not just AI getting, a bit smarter. It's this fundamentally new kind of intelligence. They're calling it ARAI.
Okay, ARAI. ARAI. Let's unpack that because it sounds like, well, more than just a label. Artificial, recursive, agentic intelligence. What's behind each word here?
Right. So artificial, okay, that still means human created. But the twist is these systems can now do their own novel development. They're not just static tools anymore.
Ah, okay. Not just waiting for us.
Exactly. Then recursive. And this is huge. It
Yeah.
means the AI learns from its own outputs. It loops back, constantly improving itself, its own processes, its abilities. Think of it like, well, not just learning facts, but learning how to learn better.
So they're not just climbing the ladder, they're figuring out how to build maybe a taller ladder themselves.
Precisely. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And that leads right into agentic.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't passive. These AI systems can act autonomously. They can make decisions, take actions toward goals, on their own or maybe as part of a team. There's a degree of independence.
Okay, independence. And the last one, intelligence. The sources seem to stress this isn't just about like raw power or tons of data.
Exactly right. It's about being adaptive,
Yeah.
context-aware reasoning. These systems can understand a situation and respond, sometimes in ways that even surprise their creators. It's not just repeating info. It's understanding and applying it, often in new ways.
Right. So putting it all together, ARAI, it feels less like an upgrade and more like maybe a different species of AI, one that evolves and operates differently. Pool and 7AI, they use this image, this braided river of progress. What's
Right.
that getting at?
That's such a good metaphor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because for ages, the story's been about competition, like
Mhm.
one big race. Who builds the most powerful AI first? But what these sources are saying is the big news in 2025 isn't one single breakthrough dominating everything. Instead, you're seeing this ARAI pattern just emerging in parallel across different labs, ambitious projects all over the world. It's a convergent emergence, they call it. Different paths leading to similar core abilities rather than, winner takes all.
So multiple streams joining together rather than one single path forward.
Exactly. And that parallel development, it might actually speed things up overall. You get diverse approaches, less risk of just one way forward, avoids a kind of tech monoculture.
Okay, so less of a race, more of a convergence. Where are we actually seeing this ARAI start to take shape? The sources give some really concrete examples. Let's start with Google's AlphaVolve.
Yeah, AlphaVolve is a fantastic example of that recursive self-improvement piece. It pairs Google's Gemini model with evolutionary search and recursive agent teamwork. Now, you might remember AlphaZero, famous for mastering Go and chess. But AlphaVolve is doing something maybe even more fundamental. It's playing code.
Playing code. Okay, what does that mean in practice? What's it actually doing?
Well, think of it like AI writing brand new algorithms, or optimizing the actual infrastructure AI runs on, even tackling really complex math problems. It's AI using its own smarts to improve the code and systems it depends on. That evolutionary search bit, it's kind of like natural selection for code. The AI tries lots of versions, keeps the best ones.
And this was apparently going on quietly for almost a year before they announced it back in May 2025. That feels significant.
Oh, absolutely. The sources really hammer this point home. Gemini's big leaps in performance. They weren't just random tweaks. They were the direct result of this continuous recursive self-improvement cycle running behind the scenes for months. So it wasn't just an upgrade. They describe it as a threshold, a point where AI learns how to learn, fundamentally boosting its own core abilities.
Right. So AlphaZero got good at Go by playing itself millions of times. But AlphaVolve gets better at being AI by working on its own internal structure. That's a huge difference. And this recursive capability, that's what lets it be more agentic in coding, not just following orders.
Precisely. AlphaZero mastered strategy inside a fixed game. AlphaVolve is teaching intelligence itself to be recursive, to constantly refine its own foundations. It's a deeper level.
Okay, interesting. Now let's shift to OpenAI. Codex, Windsurf, SWE1. This sounds like it highlights a different part of ARI, more the visible agentic side.
Exactly. OpenAI's approach has been much more public, focused on these agentic workflows.
Yeah.
Their Codex model, boosted by Windsurf's SWE1 tech. It lets them create these cloud-native engineering agents. And these agents can work side by side, in parallel, but crucially, in isolated, secure environments. Sandboxes, basically, each loaded with a specific code base.
And what can these agents do? Are we talking minor code suggestions or...
Oh, much more. They can write whole new features, answer really complex questions about the code base itself, find and fix bugs, even propose pull requests. They're essentially mirroring, sometimes even going beyond, what human software engineers do.
And the sources really emphasize the transparency here. Everything they do is logged, auditable.
That's absolutely key. Every single action, terminal logs, the test results, the state of their little sandbox environment, it's all meticulously recorded. Humans can review it all, which builds this vital layer of trust and auditability, especially as AI gets more autonomous.
And SW1 you mentioned, that takes it up a notch, brings advanced reasoning to the whole process.
Precisely. SWE1 gives these agents what they call frontier class tool use, so they can apply really advanced reasoning across the whole software development lifecycle. From writing the first line of code to testing, even incorporating user feedback. Plus, the Codex system lets developers blend these cloud agents with their own local work, so a developer becomes more like an orchestrator, guiding their own AI team.
So, okay, Google's AlphaVolve was quietly working inward, making the core AI better recursively. OpenAI, meanwhile, is building outwards, these visible, collaborative, auditable agent systems. That's quite a contrast.
It really is, and it perfectly shows that braided river idea, doesn't it? They're tackling different but kind of complementary aspects of ARAI. Google's focus is maybe more inward, foundational. OpenAI's is outward, collaborative, human-facing, with a big stress on transparency.
And then there's the absolute zero paper from China. The sources bring this up as another piece of the puzzle, another perspective on this ARAI pattern.
That's right. Absolute Zero introduces these zero-shot recursive reasoning systems. The key thing here is they can improve their performance using structured step-by-step thinking, even on tasks they've never seen before. Think of it like learning general problem-solving skills that you can then apply to brand new types of puzzles you encounter.
Okay, so AlphaVolve refines its internal model weights. Codex deploys code writing agents. Absolute Zero focuses on improving the fundamental reasoning process itself through recursion.
Exactly. It just highlights how these core ideas, agency, recursion, are being explored and pushed forward globally. Different research priorities, different tech landscapes, but converging on similar principles. It's not just one country or one lab.
Yeah, that really drives home the braid analogy. We've got AlphaVolve inward, structural, Codex Windsurf outward, collaborative, transparent, absolute zero methodological, generalizable reasoning. It's fascinating how these different threads all weave into this broader ARAI trend.
Okay, let's stick with that braided river idea for a moment. How might these different streams actually influence each other going forward? What kind of synergies could we see?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? I mean, you could see how the transparency breakthroughs from OpenAI's agent workflows. Maybe those could inform how we build audit trails for the more internally focused systems, like AlphaVolve, make them less of a black box. Or the advances in general recursive reasoning, like from Absolute Zero. Maybe that sparks new ways for other models to self-improve more effectively. It really feels like an ecosystem. Progress in one area can sort of fertilize innovation elsewhere. It's not happening in isolation. Right, that makes sense. Now, the sources also brought in the House of Seven perspective. They really emphasize transparency and understanding why these agentic systems do what they do. Why is that so critical specifically with ARAI?
Well, think about it. As these systems become more recursive, better improving themselves, and more agentic acting more on their own, knowing how they reach decisions, becomes super important. The House of Seven really stresses needing to know the who did what and why, not just looking at the final result. You need that audit trail, that understanding to build trust. And frankly, to make sure these powerful tools are used responsibly.
So the big takeaway isn't really about one AI winning. It's more about this fundamental shift happening globally. AI is changing how it develops, how it operates. It's this convergence, recursion, agency, and this growing need for transparency, for auditability. It really does feel like, as the sources put it, 2025 is the year becoming itself went global for AI.
That sums it up really well.
Yeah.
The focus probably needs to shift, Less about the competition, more about understanding how we weave these threads together. How do we keep development open? How do we make sure this incredible intelligence aligns with trust and benefits everyone?
So as we watch AI not just get smarter, but get better at getting smarter, this whole shift towards artificial, recursive, agentic intelligence, it definitely gives you a lot to think about, doesn't it? What does it really mean for the future?